looted. Militias were in control. There's no hospital, there's no school. So that was the thing. But the only school that was open was a movie theater. So they had a tiny, television screen where we went to watch movies. In 2006, we had Islamists like ISIS spread over Somalia. It's sad because the news hasn't, you probably may not have heard it. But now what's going on in Syria, it's all over the news. But when it was in Somalia, the media kind of ignored, but these guys run over the country and they just said so many things. I cannot hang out with my girlfriend, I cannot, watch movies, can't speak English, I can't listen to music. These were all kind of banned, so you have to live under the strict law that they set up, What is this rule? Like, you wake up, you go to the mosque, you just pray, and go home, that's it. You cannot hang out with a woman, even if it's your mom. I decided to do the opposite. I spoke some English, so I decided to do audio diaries with NPR. It was in North Carolina. They just called me while I was walking on the road. They called me. How did they find my phone number? So there was this American journalist called Al-Shabab. He used to work for the Chicago Tribune, based in South Africa, and he came to Mogadishu, and he was up on the roof in a building. The building was half gone, destroyed by the war, and he was taking pictures, and I was out there posing myself for the picture he was taking. And he was just laughing, and I was laughing myself, and I said, "Do you want to take another one?" So I spoke English. He couldn't believe it, and he said, "I want to meet this guy, So there's 4 guys with guns, kind of standing at the gate, so I couldn't get in. So they were like, I was like, "That guy wants to talk to me," and they were like, "Get away from here." And they were pointing again at me. And I said, "No, I want to talk to him." So he came down and he said, "Let him in." So I got in, I was talking to this guy, and he said, "Man, I'm going to send you your story. I'm going to publish your whole story about yourself." And he published a whole page of story about myself, and he titled it, "The War is Bitter and Nasty." So that's what I talked about. I said, "Man, I'm frustrated. This place, there's only 2 options. Like, you have to join these guys, or either you have to run away." And he was asking me, "Why don't you run away?" And I'm like, "How am I supposed to run away? This is a country. I can't run away because I need money to leave." So people read my story, and that's how these guys found my phone number. And they called me, I was walking in the street. They said, "Do you want to do audio diaries? It's dangerous. Because speaking English is dangerous. Listening to music is dangerous. What do you think about working with a radio station in the US? These guys really hate this country." I talked to my mom. My mom was living in a makeshift camp, outskirts in the city. And she said, "Hell no, don't do it." Okay. And then I talked to my brother. He said, "Go ahead, man." Yeah, he said, "Go ahead." Well, I was like, "Man, do you want me to die?" And he said, "No, you're not." Well, in case you would die anyway. Go ahead and do this. I did it. I actually sent audio diaries to this NPR radio station in North Carolina, and the stories were amazing. Because I talked about what was happening at that time. I was walking down the street. I have to run, hide from the bullets and just tell them there's an explosion that just happened. It killed my friend. This is, the whole city is moving out, and it's so hard to be a young man but at the same time live here because people are looking for you. There are fewer options. Few stories I did on radio, people heard it. There's a lady and her husband. They live in Yarmouth, Maine. Yarmouth, Maine. It's 20 minutes from Portland. And they just wrote an email to the radio and they said, "We want to help this man. This is an incredible. We don't want to see any young man lost. All lives are lost. But we need to save this guy." So the radio wrote to me and they said, "There's a lady who wants to get in touch with you. Is it okay?" And I wrote to them, "Okay, it's fine. I want to talk to her." So she sent me an email, and the email was the longest email I've ever read. And it was, I asked my brother's help because it was so hard to understand it. Words she was using, these Americans sometimes. Right, all these things, and I read 5 times the email, and I was like, what, so does she want to help me? What's going on? So my brother said, She wants to help you, but let's start a communication. And I said, is this a real person or is this a scam? My brother and I was suspicious. Because there was this whole scam thing going on, you know, people sending emails and they want money and all this. And we had to go back to radio and say, is she real? Do you talk to her on the phone? And they're like, oh yeah, she's real. So, there was a bomb in my house. The bomb destroyed everything. I was not in there. I was out. But it was just a random bomb. It blew up everything, and I was just staying on the streets for a while until these people raised some money and they said, now we have money. You have to find a way, man. Get out. So I had to bribe some guys at the airport, put me in a plane, and I landed in Uganda. The officer was asking me, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know, man. I seriously don't know where I'm going. But I'm just here, just let me in. And he's like, you cannot stay in Uganda, you have to leave. You have just like 2 days to leave. I said, okay, I'll find my way. I had to look, what countries border Uganda? Kenya was next to Uganda. So my brother lives in Kenya for 9 years as a refugee. And I said, what's the best way to get to Kenya? It's not easy. Because on the Ugandan side, there's the troops. They search for the car and everything. And on the other side of the Kenyan border, there's the Kenyan police. It's not easy to sneak in until you pay some good amount of money in an oil tanker like this huge, truck. That's what I did. I brought guys $200, and I was hiding behind the driver's seat. It's like a tiny, a place where they sleep. It's these people who drive trucks like half decent. That's the place where you can sleep. So I was hiding myself in there. The police came in and they had a torch. It was midnight. They never found me. I was the luckiest guy. So I just got into the border, called my brother, and I'm here. So I joined him, and I've been in Kenya for 4 years. So this story, which was on This American Life, is it starts from there, from Kenya all the way coming to the United States. It's just 1 hour thing that was going on, but it doesn't talk about before that, like what exactly happened in Somalia and meeting these journalists and leaving as a civil war kid and just going to the movies and everything else. This story actually began when the same Islamists in Somalia attacked Kenya, because Kenyan troops went into Somalia. You know what I mean? It's like, Kenya is not a strong, it's not like the US. It doesn't really have all this technology. It's not a superpower. But they made a big mistake by sending the troops into Somalia while they have the longest border with Somalia. And these Islamists are, they know what they're doing. They just sneak into the border, they kill people. And there was one big event that shook the whole world, and it was Westgate Mall hostage. You guys can remember, and that was a horrible one. It was 5 Somali guys kidnapping 67 people, killed all of them. Well, so what did the police do? They just revenged on us, because they don't know who's Al-Shabab and who's not, who's a terrorist and who's not. So they just decided to target every single refugee. I was one of them. My brother was one of them. And there was only two options, like they will send you back to Somalia or they will put you in jail. Oh my gosh, their jails are horrible. Really horrible. It's not, it's tiny in the way. They put 100 guys in a tiny squeeze area. And it was, so when this happened, my brother and I locked ourselves inside our house, inside our door, our room. And we've been there for 3 months because we couldn't get out. We were eating bread that was delivered by a Kenyan guy. It was like a cartel. It's just, doing this thing. And we were drinking water from the tap. I felt like dehydrated. I felt like I had stomach pain. And for 3 months, I felt like this is a killing thing. Like, they're killing us this way. So I won this lottery, the green card lottery, the US visa lottery. It's a lottery that you have to, how many people know what the lottery is, the visa lottery? There we go, a good number of people. So the diversity visa lottery is, you can apply. It opens in October and ends in November 3, I think. So within that period of time, you can go to your computer, you can go to their website, diversity visa lottery something.org, and you can apply. All they need is a photo, a nice photo with a white background, and that's all you need. You apply, and in May, you find out if you have been selected or not. That's what I did. I applied, and in May, I've been selected. I was so lucky to be selected. And then that means when you're selected, that means you have to go for your visa interview. But to go for the visa interview, you have to do a couple of paperwork. You have to go find the police fingerprint. You have to do the medical exam, physical, and everything else. And I did the physical test. But to go find the police document that says you're not criminal, how am I supposed to go to the police in Kenya while they're actually looking for me? So I was in there hiding from them. So this story was actually more about that. It's the scariest moment. And because I love this country, I wanted to come here, and that's been my dream. That's how I learned English. And I decided to, get out and walk on the streets, walk by the police that's actually parked there, and they had their trucks and everything else. And I had to jump into a bus and go all the way to the police station. And I, showed up and I said, I need my fingerprints. And the guy was looking at me like this. What do you have? It's a document. And I said, refugee papers. Get out! You're not I'm not gonna give you anything. How did you come here? And he was like yelling at me. He was really yelling at me like I did a mistake, or like I'm a criminal or something like that. So there was nothing I could do. I had to leave, take myself back home. I was doing a documentary with the BBC, and they were calling me every night for what happened during the day. And when the BBC called, and I said, well, I'm not giving up, but it was a disappointment. So I didn't get nothing. So, there was a Canadian lady who worked for the Red Cross, and she decided to bring her car. I could take a ride with her, go to the police and bring to the police. When they see a white person, it's just easy to go through the gate. And, it's all about corruption. You can pay bribes to get something done. So I started negotiating with a guy who's looking at me like he wanted to kill me. But then I said, I'm going to pay you. And that's when he started to negotiate. He said, how much are you going to pay? And he asked me $800. And I said, do I look like I have $800? And eventually I paid him $80, which is not even near $800. But that's all he needed. It was about negotiation. And my fingerprints were done, and I went for the visa interview, and I've been rejected first because I didn't have a signature of my university or something like that. And I told the lady who was interviewing, she was an American. And I told her, like, listen, it took me, this was the really adventure to come here. I don't want to go to the university and get, signature. But if you're serious, just give me the visa. I have everything. I have the documents that you needed, and you didn't ask for a signature or something like that. She said, you need to bring that signature, or else I'm not going to give you the visa. I had to go back to the school. So I was going to college before the thing started. And I asked him, they were actually closing the university at the time. And I was so lucky to see her, and I said, please sign this for me. She had signed it. I came back and I sent, the letter back to the embassy. Well, 2 weeks, no answer. They weren't calling me, and they haven't issued my visa. It was just dead quiet. I kept calling them every day, 5, 6 times. Nothing happened until the BBC called the embassy, and they said, we're doing a documentary with this guy. Are you guys gonna give him the visa or not? If you give him the visa, we're gonna come to Kenya to just record the whole thing and finish the story. If you're not, we're gonna cancel our trip. And the lady said, really? Are you doing a documentary with this guy? BBC, okay, it's a great thing. Okay, so they just issued my visa on Friday. I couldn't believe it. I talked to the BBC guy, and he said, I just called the embassy. I don't know if that will check anything, but keep your eyes out, and good luck, man. I'm not sure what they will do. And the email came at about 2 in the afternoon, and that was the really biggest moment in my entire life, to be very honest. Just reading that thing saying, your visa has been, we have everything you need, so your visa has been issued. That's it. There's nothing more better than that, right? So the challenge was like, now the visa is, everything has been issued, it's great. So how am I supposed to leave this country? What if they catch me while walking to the airport, or driving to the airport, or somebody giving me a ride or something, or catch me in the bus? Because there was one event, I was in the bus, and they thought I had a bomb in my backpack, and they just, shouted at me like, he has a bomb in the backpack, and that was not true. If there was somebody with a gun in the bus, he would probably shoot me. There was no one. So I was so lucky. So I had to empty my backpack, show them that it was only books and papers. And the driver was okay with it. So that was a really good, you should listen. It was a great story, and it has really shaken so many people, and these are some of the tweets that you can read. People liked it. And I had 20 followers on Twitter about 3-4 weeks ago. Now I have 400. Just keep adding people. They keep adding me, and I follow them back. I'm like, okay, I'll follow you back. It's another one. Yeah, so I want to give back a little bit Mogadishu, the place where I was born. I mean, it used to be amazing. It used to be a tourist destination. People used to go there. It was pretty. This is what Mogadishu looked like. Beautiful, really beautiful. So the thing that makes it even more beautiful is the water. This is the Indian Ocean. It's warm. I live about half a mile from here. So I was just walking to the water even at night with my friends because we sometimes don't have running water in the house. So this is the best place to take a shower and chill. That's all you can do, and then walk back home. But unfortunately, the world and most Americans see Somalia this way. You guys remember this?
Yeah.
Captain Phillips, the story about the Somali pirates. He says, "I'm the boss. Look at me." So. These are two Somali guys, they live in Minnesota, they're acting the thing. And this is a real story that happened, I think in 2009, where the Somali pirates attacked an American ship, kidnapped everybody else, and then the SEALs or Navy or Marines, whatever they were, kind of shut them all, and kidnapped two of the, I don't know. That's the whole story. But this is the way so many people see Somalia, as a place of pirates and terrorists. And probably this is 1993, that's US troops in Mogadishu. The city